1 second, just getting this Zoom going here, the live. All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We got everything started here. Let's get this show on the road. Good morning, northern Wisconsin. Oh my God, I just got some pictures from somebody in Wisconsin, and the cars were like up to the roof in snow, up to the top. Michelle in Mexico. Yeah, you should be doing okay. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thoughts and prayers go out to you. All right. So today we had some interesting stuff happen. We're going to talk about XRP and Bitcoin here specifically because Bitcoin. Let me go. Let me go over to. Just move this over here. You guys see the screen that I just moved over here? Phemex.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know what was happening last week. I guess I was sharing the wrong screen or something, and it wasn't. When I switched to another screen, it didn't switch on this on the Zoom.
I think that's a Zoom setting.
Yeah, that's weird.
You should-
All right. So what happened here, obviously, is XRP came down all close. I mean, I was expecting. I think in my I did say 180. I did say 180, and that's kind of where it hit. So if we go over here into the Discord, um, BTC possible double bottom at the 80K level, which I put the arrow here at 80K. We were breaking out of this little upward trending bearish flag situation here. And XRP, we dropped right down to that 80. Didn't I post something about XRP before that? Let's see. XRP fell through that support and now pushing the $1.80 as BTC hits the bottom of its downward trending channel for the second image. So yeah, $1.80. We did get a nice bounce out of that. Unfortunately, I wasn't awake at the moment and did not get back in until it bounced and came back up to right around this line that I had, which was right at the $1.88. And I think I put a conditional order to go long again if it got above that and held, and it broke above it, triggered my long, and then stayed above it, luckily. But when I woke up this morning, it was already triggered. So I didn't put that as a signal because quite honestly, the way Bitcoin's looking right now, guys, I'm thinking that XRP is going to still have some further down. Like if I just extend this downward trending, falling wedge that we've been in for a while with XRP. And I was saying on the last call that we're expecting a breakout, that this is bullish, and they typically do break out to the upside. I said it here. XRP winding into an apex of the falling wedge, usually bullish, and coming up to the support of $1.87, but in the middle of the overall downward trending channel, looking for a breakout imminent, but with BTC still tugging in the downward direction, it's possible to see a lower low before a big pump. But this setup usually breaks to the upside. It did dip down a little lower before breaking out, but it did break out. I'm kind of happy about that. But unfortunately, we are still in the overall downward trending channel. So let me just zoom out so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the falling wedge that we just broke out of, which is great. But the overall downward trending channel that we're in, that we've been in for a while, is we're still in that. And so this could bring us up if we keep pumping here. This could bring us up to it. We got a little bit of ways to go, and we have a couple resistance levels to get through. We hit this one right here at $1.93. The next one is at $1.98. The next one is at $2.02. And then still all the way up to 218 to break out of this top one. And but if you notice, all of this right here, boom, 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 before breaking out, pretty much was bouncing on the center line. Even though we did wick down and came back up here, we wicked down and came back up. But this center line has been pretty prevalent. And holding it up above that right now. Now, if Bitcoin did tank down into the 70s, I would suspect that XRP, we could get this pump. This could be the pump I was talking about where Bitcoin gets back up to 90, 98, 99, 100, maybe even to 105, and we would get a pump on XRP. But if Bitcoin can't hold above that and come back down, and it comes back down, then XRP could drop back down to the bottom of this channel, which would be far below the bottom of the floor at 180, which could bring XRP down lower. But maybe not. Maybe Bitcoin could drop down to 75, 78, and XRP would still hold on the floor here at $1.70. That's a possibility. That would be a great buying opportunity, by the way. Let me go over Bitcoin and show you what I mean. So Bitcoin did wick below this big bear flag floor, and I was expecting it to come down to 80K, and it just pumped right back up. But what is it doing right now? It pumped back up and hit resistance on the wedge, the floor that it broke out of, retested, came back down and retested this line right here, and then wicked all the way up to the top of the downward trending channel, and then came back below again. So here's what I think can happen, because this is not necessarily when I go and look at all the other indicators, everything else around BTC and the overall Bitcoin market here, we have a couple things happening that are historically bearish, right? Historically, like, see this? This was the last bull market. We had a bit of a double top and then an attempted run up after coming all the way back down, completing the M pattern, a bounce, and we broke above. We had like a little bit of a wedge here. We broke above it and then came back below, and that was the beginning of the bear market. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen this time, because there are some things that are different this time, but it's kind of like this. We had this double top. We had this high here at 109. Then we came up here to 123, 124, 126. Here we had a high of 64, came up to 68. And then we come down, and then we have this little wedge. We wicked above it for a minute, and then we came back below it. Now, if I go and put, like, for instance, the super guppy on, right when we came below, that is when the super guppy turned gray. We're below that. We're in that wedge. We wicked up into the super guppy, but we never got above it. Back here, it was right where the super guppy turned gray. We wicked back above the super guppy, but came back down, and that was the beginning of the bear market. Super guppy goes from green to gray. As soon as it flips to gray, historically, that's been the beginning of the bear market. Bull market top, a reattempt, comes back down, guppy turns gray, bear market. And I'm going back to every single one. As soon as it turns gray, that was the biggest drop. This one was stayed gray for a while. I think this was back when we had no, this was back in 2012. So there's some strange stuff when it started. This is basically the first bull market here. So this is when it started keeping track. But that's a super guppy. So let me get rid of that, and let's look at something else. Let's look at the gold. Let's look at the EMA ribbon. Very similar. Whenever we flip the EMA ribbon to the downside, in other words, we're above it, we're above it, we're above it in the bull market, we wicked below it, we came back above it, but as soon as we get below it and hold underneath it, it's the beginning of a bear market. Bull market, bull market, bull market, we get below it, hold as resistance, bear market, we get above it. We came below it here, but we got back above it. We didn't go under it, we just went through it here. Here we went under it, held as resistance, beginning of a bear market. And one more time, the current situation, we flipped it bearish here, and we have not gotten back above it. And usually, I mean, it's just what it is. So far, that's always been the indication of the beginning of a bear market. Now, again, this time could be different. I'll show you why, but so far, these indicators are showing the same thing that happened every other time. Now let's look at the Gaussian channel. Same with the Gaussian channel. Let's go to the 5-day Gaussian channel. We get below it. We get below the center line. It turns red, beginning of the bear market. We get below the center line. We retest the center line, turns red, bear market. Bull market top, we put down to the center line. We get below the center line. It turns red, beginning of the bear market. Here's the current situation. Get rid of all this other stuff here so you can see it. We wick to the center line, bounce. We go below it and below the whole thing, and it's just turned red. It's just starting to turn red. So that's not good. So there's 3 things in a row right there that are not good. Now here's the one outlier. The pi cycle cross is very strange. Something strange is going on here. Pi cycle has always indicated a top. Whenever there was a cross, with a green line and a red line cross, it was the top. Red line and the green line cross, it was the top. Red line, green line cross, it was the top. And red line, green line cross, it was the top of every other bull market top. This time, it has not crossed. Here was the bear market bottom in 2021. This whole thing is a bull market, and not once has it crossed. And not only that, it's not even close to it crossing. So that could be an indication that the top is not in yet. But with all these other things showing bearish, what does that mean? That means that we could see big dumps first before pumping up to the top. And maybe the top is coming and a higher high is coming. But in the short term, all of these other indicators are indicating that we're going to drop. Now I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. That's the difference. But now let's look at the golden. Let me turn off the MA ribbon. Oh, let me turn off the what was I just looking at? Gaussian channel and the golden cross. Let me turn those things off. I'm sorry, pi cycle. Let me turn that off and let me just turn back on the golden cross and go to the daily. On the daily time frame, whenever we have a golden cross or a death cross, rather, a death cross is when the green line crosses from above over the red line. It's the beginning of a bear market. And when the green line crosses back above the red market, that's a golden cross. That's the beginning of the bull market. And and that's happened over and over and over again. And here we are with a cross. The green line crossed over. We did have this big drop. And of course, they have not crossed back yet. Now, if this drops further, that could continue to follow it and drop until that finally happens. So we did have a death cross as well. So we have a death cross, we have a super guppy turning gray, we have the EMA ribbons flipped, and we have the Gaussian channel turning red. All 4 of those things are bear market cycles indicators. The only thing we don't have really is the pi cycle, which is accurate 100% of the time so far as calling the tops. It's not even close to flashing. So that means that the top is not in, but it doesn't mean when the top will be in. I would say if you look at the pi cycle indicator back on the weekly, in order for us to get these 2 lines close together, this red line and the green line, in order to cross, it would probably be sometime in July or August. It would take a long time for these to change. I mean, this green line is starting to come down, but the red line is also going down. It's not even trying to come back. I'm sorry, this is it down here. What am I looking at? I've got two things going here. Let me get rid of the bicycle. That's the bicycle. Let me get rid of the golden cross. All right, so there it is right here. It's going down as well. So it's not like they're coming to meet each other. This is what it looks like when they are. But we could be right here where the
What
green line.
influences those? What is the green one and what is the red one?
There's a lot of math behind that question. I don't have all the details. What I do know is that the indicator is basically showing it's a confluence between the money leaving or the liquidities. I'm sorry, the what's it called? The contraction of the big whales and the institutions are pulling money out and usually cycling into other things, usually an indication of a top when they're getting closer and closer together. When they're far apart, it's like they're buying, they're investing into Bitcoin. The market is still pumping. It's still going up. There's still room for growth. It's not near the top. It's the fear and index and the greed and index factors are kind of far apart still. And that's a fifth grade education explanation. But if you go and Google definition of pi cycle cross, there's a much more intricate explanation. But this is very similar to where we're at right now. You see how the green and the red are very far apart, and the red is still going down. The green might be going down. It could go the price of the value could go down quite a bit before it comes up and crosses. But that's in a bear market. This is in a bear market after we already had a death cross. But before we have the actual death cross, it looks like this. They're coming together. They're getting closer and closer and closer and closer as the bull market is going up, 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 up. And it's just a matter of time before they cross. Boom, cross right here. And look at the dotted line going straight up. As soon as they cross right here, this is the price way up here. And as soon as you see this cross, you can pretty much know the top was in. And here too, it's going up. They're getting closer. They're getting closer, getting closer. Boom, right here as they cross, top was in. We even went up higher after that. But during this whole bull market cycle, they only got closer here. This was back in March of 2024 when we came back up and hit 73K, basically just coming back up to the previous all-time high. And that was it. They got far apart again, and they've so far never got close again, which is very strange. And normally all of these things happen towards going into December of the third year of a bull market. All of these things usually happen going into the end of the year of a bull market. And that's why the 12-month candles that I always went over, showing you that December 31st was going to pretty much indicate the end of a bull market cycle. No matter what the price was at that time, that's pretty much it, because so far historically it's always been the case. But this is different this time. So a lot of people are still thinking the bull market is over and we could be going into bear market. And we've been kind of bearish for a while now, since like October. Obviously, when we hit the top over here at 126, that was way back in October. And we have been coming down ever since. We did break the upward trending support line. We did fall below certain previous resistance levels. And right now, if you look at the, like I said, the Super Guppy, the Golden Cross, the EMA ribbons, the Gaussian channel, all of them flashing bearish, all of them saying that the top was in. But the pi cycle has been accurate so far every single time as calling the top. It's not even close. So what do we make of that? Should we take, if 5 boxes have to be checked off and 4 are checked off for bearish, but 1 is not checked off, what the hell? Like, what do you do? Right? Well, I mean, so it's either that the top is not in, but also it could mean that the bottom is not in, because the top could be, when the pi cycle finally does cross, it could be months from now when we have a huge surge and pump back up to 200, 200,000, 250,000 for Bitcoin. But before then, we could go all the way down to 65K before that happens, for all I know. You know what I'm saying? Because all the other indicators are showing bear market. Now, if we look at the typical bear market, if we go back and look at all of the previous bear markets, the drop from the top has always been anywhere from 70 to 80%. 70 to 80% drop from the top. And so far right now, from 126K to the bottom at 80,500 that we hit so far, that's only 36%. So it would be another 36% in order to match the previous. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but in order to match the previous drops from the top to the bottom, 77%. Go back to the one before that. So now, again, I gotta be careful with what I say, because again, I'm not saying that just because we dropped 83% or 77% or, 86% in every other bear market, that has to happen this time. It doesn't. But again, it's kind of like what I said about your best friend picking you up at 6 p.m. every Thursday to go to poker or whatever friends do. They pick you up every day, every week at the same time. Are you going to just say, yeah, you know what? I'm feeling weird about this Thursday. I don't think he's going to come at 6. He always comes at 6, but I don't think this time he's going to. No, what you're going to do is expect him to be there at 6, because he's always there at 6. And so when you look at the history of all of these charts, every single time it's done this, why would we just presume that this time is different, or this time is going to do something different? Why not? Why wouldn't it just do what it's always done, And that makes perfect sense, except for one of these major indicators, the pi cycle top, is not in alignment with the other ones. So, however, do we put all of our weight on this one, or do we put all of our weight on the other ones? I would say that the top is not in because of this, but I would say that it doesn't have to be before the bottom comes in. It could just mean that this cycle is different, and we could come down here and retest the 70K and bounce and go right up to 250 for all I know. That could happen. That normally doesn't happen. Normally we go a whole year down first. But guys, let's just take a look. How long have we been going down? We were at our top right here at 126K in October 6th, at the beginning of October. So we got maybe 9 months to go. 8 or 9 months to go of a typical bear market cycle, which would be, bringing us up to August, the end of August, before we could say, unless we have a very short bear market and this is it, 80K, or maybe we double bottom down here, wick all the way down to the 70, 75K range and bounce. Because the reason I have this whole zone here, guys, is because that is where I would expect it to go. During a bear market, I was expected to come down and retest the 70K, 68 maybe. But that's still not even. That's still only 44%, 46%. That's still only half of all the previous bear markets. So it's kind of scary, because if we did exactly the same thing as all the previous bear markets, we would come all the way down to 30K. And the reason why that would make sense is that we went up double the previous all-time high of 60. I'm sorry, the previous all-time high of $60K right here, 68K. We pretty much doubled that up to 126. And the bear market bottom was 15.5. If we double that, it'd be about 13.1. I mean, 31. No one thought when we were at 68K here, we're going to drop all the way down to 15,000. And it was kind of strange, because we went from 3,500 all the way up to 68K and then all the way back down to 15. So don't think that we can't go from 15 all the way to 126 and then back down to 30. I mean, it's already done that many times. Now, the difference in the question is that are we going to have continue to have these huge cycles and these huge swings, bear market bottoms, bull market tops that go like 70, 80% wild swings? And the answer is probably no. That's not going to continue to happen because the market's becoming more stable. We got bigger players involved over the last couple of years. We got the Bitcoin ETFs, 13 of the largest hedge funds in the world with billions and billions of dollars in. We got multi-billion-dollar international and companies that are using Bitcoin as a reserve on their balance sheets. We got governments promising to buy 1 million Bitcoins. Our government, President Trump, 1 million Bitcoin, what was it? 1 million Bitcoin over the next 5 years. That's $100 billion worth at the current price. And so, and states and other countries that are using Bitcoin as a reserve. So there is no reason to believe this time isn't different, and that going into this whole new world of digital currency and ISO compliant tokens and the settlements of all the transactions around the world getting switched over to blockchain technology, there's no reason to believe that things aren't about to change. Things are about to change. There's no doubt. And this whole bull market, bear market stuff could just be coming to an end. And we could have a super cycle, a big pump, a giant pump to the upside when no one's expecting it. Because one thing I have learned over the years in trading crypto is that whatever is the least expected thing to happen is usually what happens. Whatever the majority of the people think is going to happen, they're usually wrong.
So Niko, the are we in a current uptrend though, going from 88 to 98, like in the last?
I mean, on the local timeframes, on the very low timeframes, we are definitely trending up right now. Yeah. But are we? When you say a current uptrend, you mean from 80, 85 here up to here? 88?
Yeah, I just mean like even from October, it went all the way down to like the 80, 86, 84, something like that. And then it couldn't break 88 for a while. Then it broke 92, then it broke 94, then it broke 96, then it just broke 98.
Well, I mean, October, you're talking about, yeah, you from down here, you mean when it hit 80,500?
Correct.
Yeah, but from there we are up. Yes, yes. But if I zoom out a little bit, I mean, this was 126 here, so we're down to 80 to 86 right now, 87. So it would have to break to the upside of this very bearish flag right here. This is a big bear flag. Bear flags tend to break to the downside unless they're up against resistance. This is major resistance. This white line right here is the upward trending support going all the way back to the bear market bottom. Right? So we're hitting that. We're bouncing on it right now. So that's major support. So there's a good chance that we do break to the upside. We also have the formation of what could possibly be a giant head and shoulder. We got a left shoulder over there. We got the head over there and possibly a right shoulder over here. And I'm projecting here because this hasn't happened yet. But if this pumps up, gets up to 90, 95, 96, 97, breaks out to the upside, hits 100, gets up to 105, 108, 109, 110, and cannot get above that. If that happens, that would just be equal to the left shoulder over here. And so it would have to get above 110 and hold as support. And then it would then have to break previous all-time high. I'm not saying that can't happen or won't happen. It has to happen in order for us to get to a new high. We have to get through these levels first. And right now we're having a hard time getting above 90K. So, and we've been dropping and dropping and dropping. And so these are all lower highs. So to answer your question, yes, from here, it does look like we're trending up, but we have a high, a lower high, a lower high, and a lower high and we have higher highs, little higher highs here, and it's slowly getting, they're slowly getting higher. But I guess we would have to break above some of these other levels up here first in order for this to look like a trend reversal. But if we drop below this line, which we're banging our head on right now, I mean, we might even be under it. I mean, we wick down, we hit the top, wick down, hit the top. So we do have higher lows and higher highs. But this is a big bear flag. And all the other indicators I was just talking about, the super guppy, the Gaussian channel, the EMA ribbons, everything's flipped bearish. So, I mean, this can break. So let's just do one more thing here, just to show you. If we just go back to the bigger picture here on my trading view, this is very similar to the last bull market, where we came up high, we dropped all the way down to 30K. That was a 50-some% drop. We dropped all the way down 53%, and then we bounced and came all the way back up. We hit major resistance, we pulled back, and then pumped all the way up to 68K. Double top, a little higher. Let me get rid of the high cycle. A little bit higher than this high right here. And then we come down, very similar to what we're kind of doing right now. And the reason why it's similar is because the time frame, like this is October, November, all-time high, November, all-time high, September, October, going into November, and then dropping, December, boom, January. December, boom. January, right here, we're in January, just going into January, right here. Very similar. And then what did we do? Here, back here, we pumped up and we broke out of this little very similar looking bear flag. Let me just make it the same so you can see it. On the top. And we wanted it to bounce and come up and make a new high, and thinking that it might even get up equal to the right side. If this was going to be a head and shoulder, very similar to the one we're seeing right now, then it makes sense that this could come all the way up to 60, 70K, boom, and then fall. But this one attempted to get up there and it couldn't, and then drop below this line right here, not that one. Kind of depending on where you put this, let me just put it somewhere. Kind of like a weird M support right there. We got a big M pattern, boom, bounce, break below, and that was it, beginning of bear market. So here we are in the current situation. I'm gonna try to do it on the same page so you can see them both. We have this big M. We have a big M. Possible head and shoulders coming up, but it needs to get up here and get higher than that. But if it doesn't, and it falls through this line, very similar to here, if it doesn't get up higher and it falls through this line, possible further dumping, and that could be drastic. Now, why is it possible for this to happen with all the positive things going around the world? All the crazy stuff, the tariffs, the wars, the fucking everything that's really, there's a lot of negative. There's a lot of things that people think are negative, which in the grand scheme of things, it's all better for the country and the economy. But in the short term, it's chaos. But we also have a potential stock market crash. What two things have gone way up in value over the last couple months?
Gold and silver.
Gold and silver. What does that usually mean when gold makes a new all-time high or silver makes a new all-time high?
People are scared. The markets are going to drop.
Yeah.
Going toward a bear.
You go, it usually means crash. Markets crash. Money moves to safety. Usually. And that's the way it goes. And now Bitcoin and crypto are the new safety. If there's scarcity in the US dollar or the stock market, sometimes people move to crypto and Bitcoin. But the problem is that Bitcoin, if the stock market crashes 50%, S&P 500 or NASDAQ crashes 50%, Bitcoin will crash too, but just not as much. It'll crash to 20%. But gold and silver, I mean, silver is what, $109 an ounce right now? Crazy.
112.
112. Yeah.
But I think what's going on on the silver part is that there's more technology today. So the companies that require a lot of the silver to make all these components are the ones who actually are actually buying it because they used to do a lot of the trade with paper, so the paper's no longer valid. So they want tangible. So that's why the price jumped from 70 to where it's out today right now. So
so when they need the silver they need physical silver for their components, and the market's going crazy and silver prices going up, retail buyers are buying it, investors are buying it, and they said, oh shit, we better stockpile this stuff because otherwise there's going to be a run on silver and it's going to be hard to get. So they go and buy huge quantities of it and the price surges even more. Then you got gold hitting what, 5,000? What did that get to? 4,999 or something like that?
51, I think it was.
Oh, it hit 51. Okay. So when that stuff happens, guys, first of all, it never lasts, at least throughout history so far. We have a huge run on gold, a huge pump to safety. And then usually those dump, the market corrects, and people put their money back in the stock market, crypto, and other things, investments. But do I think silver is going to come back down? I mean, there was a time when silver was $30, $40 and went all the way back down to $4. I remember that. People were freaking out. Silver is $40. Went all the way back down to $4 an ounce. But gold's never been this high. Silver's never been this high. But also the purchasing power and the value of the dollar has never been so low. So, that's
that coin that you showed us the other day. Is that 1 ounce, or how many ounces is that Bitcoin? The silver you had, Niko.
The coin I showed you?
Yeah. A couple of days ago, last week, you had a bunch of coins.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have silver coins. These are 1 ounce each.
Oh, 1 ounce. Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is just what I have. I have some more. I have some bullions and some bars and stuff like that too. But when I bought it, it was like $10. It was like $10 or $12 an ounce. Not these. I think I paid $40 an ounce for these. Not that long ago. Right before the big pump. But I really wasn't expecting it to do what it did at the time that it did it.
It's 115 right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's but it could also drop back down, guys. So, that it's all usually when it comes to gold and silver, it's usually it's a run to safety. It's kind of like they'll wait until the coast is clear and then they'll move it, because sitting on gold and silver doesn't really make you money. The purpose of it is to protect your money. I always say, if you already got money, buy gold and silver. It's a store of wealth. It's a hedge against inflation when times are bad. But when times are good, there's other ways to make money. So you would take your money out of gold or silver and put it into other assets that go up in value much, much higher. But man, yeah, obviously some people are very much into gold and silver, and they're like all proud that gold went up and doubled and silver went up 2.5x. But in crypto, we don't get too excited about that because that happens every day in crypto. 2.5x is not a big deal. We got people in our group making 2,000% gains on one trade multiple times a day. So, but for the rest of the world, yeah. I mean, when something goes up in value that drastically in such a short period of time, That is crazy to them. So, but that is an indication to the rest of us that something is not good in the market. Usually it's a sign of an economic depression or collapse getting ready to happen. Historically, that's been the case.
Or a lot of times too, also.
Hey, Nico, there's a chart. I don't have it in front of me, but it goes back 100 years where there's basically been 4 gold rallies 100 years ago. And then about the 70s and 80s, about 2000 up to 2010. And now this next one, it could be a 10-year cycle for gold, which means like with the banner cycle they talk about, markets just adjusting to different things where, having some gold in your portfolio or silver in your portfolio, could be a, like I said, a hedge against inflation. But it's the charts, like everything else, show what the truth is, despite what all the noise and everybody else is saying. And even more importantly, with there's silver in so much everyday essential things, appliances and Teslas and everything they're doing. So the industrial value of silver. And then again, look at jewelry. If people are still going to get married, so it's like you want to buy engagement rings and everything else. It's got to be a lot more expensive for that aspect too.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so generally speaking, though, the masses don't go to buy something until it reaches all-time high. Just like when Bitcoin was up here pumping and getting up here in these higher levels after it broke the 70K here and started pumping up to new all-time highs, 80, 89, 90. This is when huge amounts of people came in and bought and pumped it up to 109. And then what happens? People that bought way down here are taking profits up here. And then we get a big dump. And then we break out of this falling wedge. We pump back up. Oh my God, it's going to do it again. Oh, it's 108. No, now it's 112. And then people buy in here and boom, it drops back down to 98. The masses don't understand what they're doing. They should be buying it when it dropped down to 74, not when it pumps back up to all-time highs. And so up here we hit, then it breaks 112, it gets up to 119. Huge amounts of people bought in. And what happened? Investors, boom, sold. Huge amounts of people bought in, boom, sold. Huge amounts of investors bought in, boom, sell off. Everybody's taking profit all the way down. Big players. So, I mean, we mentioned it a couple months ago that 10 whales, Bitcoin whales, 10 wallets that were dormant for 10 years with $1 billion worth of Bitcoin each. They were dormant. I mean, they just sat there. No one even knew whose they were or what, why, maybe someone lost, maybe someone forgot about their Bitcoin, but all of a sudden those wallets, those 10 wallets became active after 10 years of sitting there and started moving Bitcoin around and selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth. Just a couple months ago. Where? Right here. How did they know? How would they know that that was the time to get out after 10 years? I mean, could you imagine holding 1,000 Bitcoins from back when it was, $5 each, or 2,000 or 5,000 or 10,000? Some of these people had 10,000 Bitcoins. And then at $100,000 plus, that was worth $1 billion. And they all sold and got out. So how could you hold during a 10-year period and go through all of these ups and downs? Last bull market, the one before that, and then this one, and then sell finally? That's kind of scary. Like, who are these people that have the golden diamond hands that they can hold during all of this crazy cycle, all these cycles, and then get out at a certain time? And why would they? Maybe it's just because it was $1 billion. I mean, $1 billion might be enough, and just say, you know what, I don't need to play this game anymore. I need stress. I need the money. Let me just start taking some out. Or it was all by design. What's more likely? 10 wallets sitting by design without anybody touching it. Maybe it was a pact. Maybe it was an agreement back then that they can't touch it for a certain amount of years till 2025, maybe. I don't know. My conspiratorial mind kicks in when I think of all of these things. Satoshi Nakamoto and all of this stuff, which so no one really knows that this person exists, if there really is a person. And then it came out that maybe it was a handful of people, Brad Garlinghouse and Elon Musk and a few other really smart people.
Have you heard of Joby Weeks?
Yeah.
That he went to prison
Yeah.
and he was one of the founders of Bitcoin.
Yeah. There's a few people that were in that group. And apparently they came up with it in a house
Yeah,
on the
he
corner of
he was all
Satoshi, on the
legit,
corner
apparently.
on the corner of Satoshi and Nakamoto Street. And is that a real story? I don't know, but it's kind of interesting. You really don't know. And then there's CIA documents.
Yeah, the CIA took all his assets and everything. So,
Well, there's documents that the CIA created it and came up with, the blockchain and the ledger and, cryptography and all that stuff back in right around the time, right before Bitcoin became a thing. So it's really hard to know, guys, but to know everything. And then if that's the case, I mean, well, you have to ask yourself, why would the government allow an unknown cryptography, an unknown invention, something that some anonymous person created that supposedly has no backdoors, supposedly cannot be hacked, supposedly has no problems, and allow that to be a currency? They would not, unless they already controlled it and created it. They would not. Now, for instance, when you look at Ripple's a company. There are creators. The developers are all known who they are. And now, if they wanted to allow the government to take control of the company and understand all the ins and outs and all the backdoors, that would be something that the government might be comfortable doing, to turn that into a currency or turn that into a government reserve asset. Let's just say XRP could be taken over, Ripple could be taken over by the government if they want to turn that into a reserve asset, and where it's handling all the settlements for all the financial institutions around the world, and it would be then controlled by the government. The government would have to do a buyback program. Anybody who had XRP before they took over would have to sell it, kind of like when they went off the gold standard and they had a gold buyback program, and anybody who didn't sell their gold to the government at a fraction of the value would have it confiscated. You had a certain amount of time to turn it in. So could that happen again? Sure. I mean, I don't put past anything to happen, to be honest with you. But Bitcoin, I don't think they can do it unless they're the ones who created it. And not only that, but Bitcoin is cumbersome and slow in comparison to XRP. You send XRP from Phemex to, let's say, Coinbase or vice versa, it's there before you can even go check to see if it's there. Send Bitcoin anywhere and it takes 20 minutes to show up. It's pending for 20 whole minutes before it even is available. So nothing wrong with it as a store of wealth, but there is definitely something wrong with it as a transactional currency. So with that being said, I think Bitcoin will continue to be a store of wealth and continue to go up in value and be used as a hedge against inflation and all of that kind of stuff. But I just don't think it's ever going to be a currency in the sense of a currency. It's not going to be used, I don't think, to buy your coffee at the Starbucks. You'd have to sit there and wait 20 minutes for the transaction to go through. But there's going to be services where you can pay with crypto at the Starbucks, where you just press a button or you scan your crypto key or your cold storage wallet card instead of your debit card or credit card, and you can pick which crypto to pay with, and it would get instantly transacted, even if it was Bitcoin, because it would be done on the Ripple network. Because Ripple can send Bitcoin faster than Bitcoin can send Bitcoin. That's how crazy that is, because it just sends it on Ripple and XRP and then converts it on the other side. So it's just a different way of transacting. Just like if Ripple was handling all of the transactions in the Swift network and all the financial transactions around the world, you would swipe your card, your debit card, or you would go to the bank and do a wire transfer, and you're wiring $10,000 to Aunt Susie up in Minnesota or over in England, and it would look like you're sending 10,000 US dollars, and it would look like she's receiving 10,000 US dollars. But behind the scenes, your $10,000 would be converted to XRP at the bank, sent over there immediately, and then converted back to US dollars on the other side. That's how that works.
Well,
And you would be the wiser. She wouldn't be the wiser. She wouldn't know all that happened behind the scenes. Sorry, go ahead.
now here in Harlingen, they're building a big data center, huge data center by the airport, and they call it, it's going to be a smart data center. So might be one of those ones that'll probably be using to do the transactions later in the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that have been in the works for a long time that we're just unaware of. And when it happens, it's just going to happen, and price appreciation is going to happen, and forced appreciation is going to happen. It's going to be a little different. Like in real estate, we do something called forced appreciation, where we buy an apartment house or apartment building or whatever, and it needs a lot of work, and you have to go in there and do all the work. And then once you have it all beautiful and fixed up, now it's worth a lot more. You forced the appreciation. It was $100,000 when you bought the house. You put 50,000 into it, renovated everything, put a new kitchen, new bathrooms, and now you get it reappraised for 200,000. You've increased the value. You forced the appreciation. And so with crypto and with XRP, for instance, what forces appreciation and the value of it is the use case and the settlement, what it's being used for. And if it becomes more and more in demand, and the banks and the financial institutions need billions of it in order to make all that work, then they're taking huge amounts of supply of it out of the market. The liquidity dries up, and the price forces appreciation up. The price goes up fast. So that's going to happen. It's just when is the question. So let's go back and look at XRP while we're talking about it, because I am in XRP did pump up a little bit here from its little pump. Let's go down to the lower time frame and see what's happening. Say the $1.90. Oh, it broke the upward trending support. What's that mean? Is it going to come? Is it going to come up and retest and bounce and come back down? If so, I'll probably close this trade out, because what did it go up to? It only went up to previous support and resistance. Even when we wicked all the way down here and came back up, we held support here. Support, resistance, resistance, support, breakthrough, support, resistance, and then resistance on this line. So far it hasn't gotten back above that level, which is the $1.93 right here. Came up and hit it. Do I have this line in the right spot? Let me just make sure. Is that possible? Yep, I have it in the right spot, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, I caught the bounce last night, but before I went to bed, I closed that right when it started consolidating again.
Right here.
Yeah, that's where I got out, but I haven't got back in. I keep thinking it's gonna rise, but then I'm not sure. I got to recalculate everything.
Yeah. Well, just keep in mind, guys, it's correlating with Bitcoin still. So you got to go, whenever you're trading XRP, always go look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin has pump. Everything looks the same, identical. It pumped all the way up to this level. What is that level? That's the downward trending resistance line. Boom, hit it, boom, and then came all the way back down. Now what's it doing? It came down and hit this green line, which was support and resistance on the way up, and support again. Retested. If it's going to get back up, it needs to make a higher high, because it made a high, a higher high, and a higher high. But all the lows were higher until this one. Now we got a lower high, lower high, lower high. So are we trending back down now? What's going on with that? And if that's the case, then that would explain XRP dipping right here below this, dumping from here to here. Now, we were having higher highs, higher lows, higher highs and higher lows. Now we have a lower high, a low, a lower low, and a lower low. So this is the upward trending support, and then this could be a trend reversal back to the downside if we're now going this way. So let's see, are we gonna, I mean, it wicked right up to that green line, which was the upward trending support. Is that now resistance, or is it just gonna break right through that? It could just break right through that. That'll be great. I'm staying in my long for now, but I was up a lot higher here. I probably should have taken profit. I say that often, but I'm hoping that this is the time, because one thing that has happened is that we did break this falling wedge to the upside. This is a bullish falling wedge. We broke it to the upside, and normally, this is how high we should pump. At least the depth of the highest point, which would be right here, this candle. At least that amount, which would bring us right to this line. That would bring us right to the top of the downward trending channel. So I do think that we are due for that to happen, especially since we're bouncing on the center line here after hitting this low. So yeah, I'm with you, but at the same time,
so right now you think it still has a chance to go up more, because you're back down where it was. So I might go back in for another long.
Yeah, I mean, it broke the overall falling wedge to the upside, and it was holding this support, and it still is. I mean, it depends on what time frame you're on. On the hourly right now, it looks like it still might be holding this upward trending support line. Let me just
and tomorrow is the 27th.
Say again.
Tomorrow is the 27th. So remember, Clarity Act might pass by the 27th or something like that. So
yeah, I'm not sure if that's the exact date or not. I know that was originally said, but it might be kicked into February now, so I'm not really sure how long that's going to take. But
It was pushed from tomorrow to Thursday, apparently.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, so we got a possible agreement on the Clarity Act that could cause some big moves to the upside. So this is why I keep re-entering, guys, on XRP, especially down here at the floor. We're so close to the bottom of the floor. This red line is the bottom of the floor. We're in the floor. This whole blued out area that I have here, anywhere from the low of 170 to $2. To me, this is the floor that we've been in for a year. You can't, does it matter if you go long at $1.76 or $1.87 or $1.96? No, you're in the floor. You're down at the floor level. That's like getting in at the bottom. So anywhere in this range is the bottom, as far as I'm concerned. Now, is it better to get in at $1.70 than $1.90? Yeah, there's a 20-cent difference there. But anything under $2, I think, is cheap compared to where it can go if we finally get out of this. Once we get out of this, that's a whole nother story. Then we're also talking about this. If we look at the bull flag on this, we're talking about a pump back up from the top all the way back up to this level, which would be the $2.80 range, which would probably bring us, it would be probably the first, let's just go back and look. It would be the first resistance level right here. Boom, boom, boom. Resistance. So we can go back even further and see it, but we got support. This was the big drop. By the way, this goes all the way back to here. When we first came up to this level, we held support. And then here we dropped all the way down. This was the big drop back in October, all the way down to $1.20. And then we pulled right back up and hit that as resistance. Well, resistance. So that's probably right where if we break out of this downward trending channel, that would be the pump right up to that level, which is about 268. We would hit resistance here first too, right here at 241, right this high. And then the next level I think would probably be up there.
Hey, could you take a look at White Whale?
White whale. Is it on Phemex? Yep. All right. White whale is forming a giant W right now. The problem with patterns on coins that are kind of new to the charts and new to this platform is that they're usually not as accurate, but we do have upward trending support. We do have a nice W pattern. And usually a W pattern like this. Let me just make this look better right here. We had support here when it started, and we had support there before it dropped into the W. So it's coming right up to it now. Generally, that would normally mean that we have a possible break to the upside equal to the depth of the W, which would be somewhere up in this range. $1.20, 12 cents, 12.2, 0.122. And that would bring us right kind of up into this area. Previous resistance, support, support, resistance. And if we break through that and hold that as support, that could be that could be good. That might be something you want to consider entering right now for those of you, but you want to make sure it holds support here. It could go into a little consolidation first before breaking out. And I would use a tight stop loss just in case patterns don't mean anything on this yet because it's kind of new.
Hey, Niko, I got one I want you to check out if you don't mind. Zero. ZRO. Zero.
Now we got nice upward trending support. Question is I mean, we've had higher highs. Big pump up here. Let's see what was this high at right here. That was previous major resistance going back quite a ways. We'll just take it from this high, go all the way back. Before that, it was support. Going all the way back to June of 2024, we were at support, 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 breakthrough, resistance, breakthrough, support, 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 resistance, 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 resistance. And we're coming up to it now, and we hit it as resistance. But we have upward trending support coming back up to it. But we got a nice big red candle right now. So obviously, if we wind in this apex, this could be a final time for a breakout, but it also might not be. It might just be coming up to retest. We have lower highs. And this one hit it, but wicked right up to that previous support resistance level. Hard to call on that one. I would wait for a breakout if you're not already in it. But if it breaks below this upward trending support, and I'm on the daily right now, but you can go down to like the hourly. So to me, it's got to wind in and get above this and then break out of this apex right here. That would be the safest move. I mean, you could enter right now on this support because every time it's hit this support, it went higher, but it already retested the major resistance level. So is it going to come up and double top? Is it going to break through, or is it going to, or it just couldn't get through here and it fell and now it's going to drop back below and continue the downward trend, because there is kind of a downward trend happening as well. So if that were to happen, then what would that look like? That would be like it staying in this downward trending channel. Which would bring it back down to this level. After hitting the top here, it could just fall back down to this level. So that's why you gotta look at the big picture. You gotta zoom in, zoom out. I mean, we see things pumping like this at first glance, upward trending support, that looks bullish, fine. Then you zoom out and see, oh, it's hitting resistance here, which goes back a while. And then you zoom out a little further and you see that the overall trend is down. I mean, it's in the channel going down right now. So, and it just hit the top. So you're more likely to make profit shorting the top than you are going long up here at the top. I would not go long right now unless it bounces here and goes up and gets above this. Then holds a support, then we're talking about a trend reversal. The trend is downward right now. The other option is you would short it if it just breaks this upward trend line, because chances are if it does that, then it might come up and can't get through this, fall through, retest, and then drop. Any other ones? Anybody want me to look at? Steve says, if BTC drops to the mid low 70s, wouldn't that liquidity then roll into altcoins, sparking the real altcoin season and Bitcoin correlation stop? Maybe. There's no guarantee of an altcoin season. Everything seems to be going down with Bitcoin right now, but it could. Yep.
Hey, Nico, someone had said maybe a week or two ago something about I Trust Capital and saying that they didn't know when they called up their customer support, they didn't know who held their crypto and everything else. That's not true. I had talked to them once before about something. My rule of thumb with customer service is I got to get to talk to 3 people before you finally find somebody to know what they're talking about. So I was looking at doing a distribution off of them last week. And so I had talked to somebody a month or so ago. They said they had to cash out through crypto and then you could trade it off. But when I went to do the distribution, it said, what wallet do you want to take cash, or do you want to switch it to a wallet and like kind crypto? So I called them up and the guy's like, oh no, you can switch your crypto off of there without trading it. We hold custodial just like Coinbase. But you can switch it right off of us in a distribution to a wallet. I'm not sure if it's a cold wallet, but you can at least say switch to Coinbase and then switch to a cold wallet. So I just wanted to say that, like, cause I know at Fidelity, I know at Fidelity that I have some crypto on them, but if I were to take money off of there, I have to cash out the crypto and then take the money off that way. But with I Trust Capital, you can take a distribution in crypto to a wallet. It's like someone was saying about they had XRP on there. So the only thing is you can let it grow tax deferred, but when the time comes and they do say they're delist XRP and they do something, but any capital gain, you're gonna take that distribution then, as opposed to taking the money off now, putting in XRP and letting it grow and stay as XRP where you won't have that tax event.
All right. Thank you for that. Anybody else have I Trust Capital or any crypto being held on a hedge fund or anything like that? That might be useful. You can always ask questions about that in the main chat if you do, and somebody who has the experience with it, like Keith there, can answer your question.
I have a quick kind of random question. Is it possible to borrow against a Roth IRA on Coinbase or on Schwab? Does anybody know?
I think you can do that through an insurance product, but I'm not sure exactly how to do that on. I mean, you would have to transfer your assets to Coinbase for them to hold it as custodian, for them to loan against it. As far as whoever you're.
Like I have MicroStrategy stock I'd like to borrow against instead of selling it.
You might be able to do that with your bank. I don't know who you bank with, but you can do that. Some banks will do that. Chase Bank will do it.
Okay, thank you.
You. Looking at questions here in the chat. Anybody else got any questions? You're more than welcome to jump out.
Daryl asked a good question about trading on multiple time frames.
Well, your trade is your trade. I mean, I mean, I look at all the time frames. So what I'll do is I zoom out, I see the big picture. Like if I wake up in the morning and I look at my chart and it's on the 10-minute time frame and it looks like this, I don't enter a trade. I'm like, I don't say, oh my God, look at that. I'm going to go long or short. No, I zoom out first. I zoom out on the 10-minute. I see what the local market looks like, what the trend looks like. Oh, we got an upward trend here. And then I'll go up to the hourly. I'll try to get a bigger picture. I'll zoom out even a little bit more and say, oh, okay, we do have an upward trend, but we are in a downward trending channel here. This is 0, by the way. And then I'll go out to the daily and I'll be like, well, what's really going on here? And let me get a bigger picture here. And then I'll say, oh, okay, so we did it. We did hit the bottom, hit the bottom, hit the bottom. And every time we came up, we we had a lower high. And right here, we wicked up to previous support and resistance and then came back down. Now I can make a decision as to whether I want to enter this trade or not, because I checked it on multiple time frames, lower time frames, middle time frames, and higher time frames. And then let's just say, okay, based on what I'm seeing now, I want to go short. Well, I personally go back down to the 10-minute time frame. And I will say, okay, when it breaks below this line, I'll short. I want to see it go below this and hold as resistance. Then I'll short. But I'm not gonna make a decision to short on the daily, even though when I go to the daily, it looks like it's already, it almost looks like it's ready to break. I'm not going to short it until it goes through that line. You know what I mean? So you're not really trading on any specific time frame. You're trading, and the time frames kind of help you to see where the overall market is. You can look at the different time frames to get a better view, whether it's up close and personal to what's actually happening minute by minute, or zoomed out and see what's happening day by day or week by week. If I go to the weekly time frame, it looks even more different. You don't see all those little tiny things that happened on the 10-minute time frame anymore. It's all green going up right now. So is that the big picture? Well, I still would wait for a breakout above this line in order to go long. And if it breaks below this upward trend line, I would go short, but it's very difficult to see the detail on the weekly. So I'd have to go down to the lower time frames, like the hourly, to really see the detail of this line, this upward trend line that I have. And right now, this is consolidating. This is 0. This looks to me like a giant bear flag, very similar to what we had on Bitcoin when it was a bear flag up against support. So a bear flag normally breaks to the downside, but not always, especially if it's up against upward trending support. So this could just be bouncing down here, and then break up to the upside and make another run for it up here somewhere. But I would wait. So the hard part is sitting on your hands and not entering a trade until you have confirmation. Confirmation is it either breaks to the downside and holds as resistance, because as you can see, a couple times we got below this, came back up, support, week below, came back up. Confirmation would be it goes below and holds below and then starts to come down. Or it just breaks back up to the upside of this and starts to climb back up and make another attempt at the previous high. Me personally, I would not be trading this inside of this. I'm not going to trade it inside of this. I will go long if it breaks up above here and holds as support, and I will go short if it breaks below here and holds as resistance. Jean Paul says, Trump also said he was going to give all taxpayers $2,000 from all the tariffs. I don't know about that.
Oh, did you hear that he's going to try to have credit cards have topped out at 10%? He's trying to do that for 1 year. Have credit card companies reduce the percentages to 10%.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be killer.
Yeah. You can keep your interest rate at 10% or less, no matter what it is, depending on how you pay your bills. But very difficult, like for people that get too maxed out on their credit cards. The credit card companies like that. They want you to pay the minimum payment every month. They don't want you to pay off your credit cards. They don't, but the reporting agencies favor low usage. And a lot of people think, oh yeah, as long as you keep it under 10% or 30%. I would say if you keep it under 5%, then it looks even better. But so if you have a $10,000 credit card balance at 29% interest rate and you charge it up, you're only paying 29% if you leave your balance there for a whole year. But if you pay that balance off within 2 months, you take that 29% divided by 12, you're only paying like, whatever it is, 2% per month for 2 months. And then you don't charge it up for a couple months. You do that again. So at the end of the year, you're really paying 10% interest. It depends on how you do it. If you can afford to pay them off and do it strategically. Some people use their credit cards very strategically. They don't let it get above a certain amount. You got a $50,000 credit limit. You charge up $5,000, you pay it off. You charge up another $5,000, you pay it off. You don't ever even let it get higher than $5,000. You keep your available credit. Now that's easier said than done, but especially if you need money, or if you need to buy stuff. But if you want really excellent credit and you want to have a ton more credit card offers sent to you and get pre-approvals, then that's what you do. And then you end up with unlimited amounts of available credit. Marlin rather says gold is up over 90% in the last 12 months. Silver is up 237% over the last 12 months. Yeah, pretty amazing for those two things. Bitcoin is up over 10 million% in the last 10 years. So nothing really comes close to crypto. I would say not 10 years. I would say 2008 to 15 years. Niko, what is your feeling about trading on multiple timeframes? Okay, that's the one I just answered. So I hope I answered your question, Daryl. I've seen trades I missed because I focus too much on a single time frame. Well, when I give a signal, it doesn't matter what time frame you're on. If you enter it and you put the same parameters in, then it's going to place that trade. I mean, it matters only as far as your view is concerned, what you're looking at. But like if I draw my trend lines and my support and resistance lines on the hourly time frame, for instance, here we are on XRP on the hourly. This is saved to my chart. I mean, hopefully this is making sense, or maybe I'm missing something, but this channel that I've had here has been like this for a long time. No matter whether I go to the daily time frame, there it is, same channel. I go to the 15-minute time frame. It's just much wider. You can't see it because I'd have to zoom in and really scrunch it up for you to see this in between these two white lines. That's that channel. But when I go to the lower time frames, we're inside of it. We're magnified. We're zoomed in. So, but if I say go long at $1.90, it's $1.90 no matter what time frame you're looking at. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but unless I'm missing your question. But yeah, I mean, having your lines in the right spot, having your support and resistance in the right area. So here it looks like XRP is trying to get back above, maybe, we'll see. Is it retesting the previous support as resistance and getting ready to drop back down now that it came all the way up and hit that resistance? Let's go look at Bitcoin again real quick. BTC again is always and has been for a long time the tide that rises all boats, including XRP. Until there's a decoupling, then Bitcoin kind of moves, everything kind of follows it up and down for a while. Yeah, Bitcoin is trying to pump back above. It did just make a higher high on this in this little example that I gave a minute ago. And this could be overall, this could be a higher low. Yes.
Any particular ETFs you like?
No, I mean, I don't have brokers or keep money in someone else's control. Me personally. I mean, there's like 7 or 8 new XRP ETFs. And then there's a dozen or so, 12 or 13 hedge funds that have Bitcoin ETFs. But why, in my opinion, why would you put money in an ETF? Because what happens is that if Bitcoin goes up in value, you're making a profit, right? But nowhere near as much as you would if you held physical Bitcoin yourself in your own wallet. But I guess the appeal of the ETF is that if Bitcoin dumps, you can't lose as much if you have money in an ETF, the value of your holdings, but you're basically buying shares against, you don't actually own any Bitcoin when you put money in a Bitcoin ETF. The hedge fund does. They're the ones buying and controlling the Bitcoin. You're just kind of along for the ride. It's kind of like trading with USDT against Bitcoin instead of Bitcoin on a Bitcoin margin. But I think buying it and storing it and holding it yourself is a much better way to go. I guess the analogy would be similar to buying gold stock. I mean, what would be better, having gold stock or gold, physical gold? What would be better? Having suitcases full of cash in your house, under your floorboard in your safe, or at the bank where you don't really have control of it. I mean, you might think you have a lot of money in the bank, but you go to the bank and say, I want all my money. They're going to say, sorry, we don't keep that much cash. You're going to have to come back next Tuesday. Or you go to the bank to get your money and there's a note on the door that says, sorry, closed. And call customer support. You go to the ATM machine, it says, sorry, out of service. You're screwed. Your money's in someone else's hands. It's always under someone else's control. If you have your own custodianship, but you're the custodian, that means you're the bank. You have a cold storage wallet with a lot of crypto in it. Doesn't matter if Coinbase goes down, the internet goes down, zombie apocalypse is happening outside. Whatever you have on your cold storage wallet is still there. Now, if the internet goes down, you won't be able to access it on your app. You won't be able to see it or transfer it to anybody. But if someday you're still alive during the zombie apocalypse, talking worst case scenario now, and all of a sudden the internet goes back on, your wallet will populate with the exact same amount that it had before. Whereas if you had it all on Coinbase or someone else like Robinhood, and the zombie apocalypse happened, and then days or weeks went by with no internet, no power, no nothing, and then all of a sudden everything came back on, you really don't know. They might have economic calamity. They might have to file Chapter 13. They might have lost billions of dollars during all that, and all of your crypto gets kind of, tied up in litigation at that point. So me personally, now I know I was talking worst case scenario. There's nothing wrong with ETFs, but to me, it's like 401k. It's not a very good investment. A 401k is great for someone who doesn't want to take any control of their finances. They just want the company that they work for to match their distribution or their contribution, and a certain amount comes out of your paycheck every week, goes into 401k, and the company matches it. That's great. That's a forced savings plan. That's all it is, forced savings. Okay, and that is helpful. Don't get me wrong. It's better to have one than not have anything. But 401ks generally don't make you a lot of money. What they do is they just keep your money, and they're using it instead of you using it to invest. But if you're not an investor and you're not going to turn your money into more money yourself, then you have to trust these companies to do it for you. But 401ks historically, when you factor in all the fees and the maintenance fees and all the management fees, you're not really making any money. It's just it's just a more savings account. And so if you take control of your money yourself, kind of like Social Security, if your pensions and your retirements, there's a lot of people that will. I have a good friend who went and worked at the post office after he graduated high school. Now he's 60 now. And he just retired, like just a couple of months ago. But a couple of years ago, he could have retired and got a pension, but he was holding on to get an extra $200 or $300 a month. If he would have just waited until he's 60 to retire, he would get an extra $300 a month in his pension. And I'm like, you're going to trade another 5 years or 6 years of your life to have another $300 a month and work 8 hours a day when you could retire right now and get your pension for the rest of your life for just $300 a month less. Well, to him, and this is what a lot of people do. A lot of people do that. They don't take their Social Security until the last minute because, oh yeah, but if I take it now at 60, I'll only get $1,500 a month. But if I wait until 65, I'll get $1,800 a month. And if I wait until 70, I'll get $2,200 a month. The reason why they incentivize you to wait, guys, is because they know you probably won't live that long. Or if you do live that long, they're not going to have to pay you that extra amount for very long. Take it as soon as you can and just do something better with it than that. So that's just my opinion, because I know what to do with it to make more, but maybe most people don't. So me personally is that if you can take your retirement now and instead of spending 8 hours a day working for the next 8 years, could you take that $300 loss and then take that retirement money and invest it in something that would make you 100 times more money every month over the next 5 years than sticking with your job for the next 5 years for that extra $300 a month? I just don't understand some people's train of thoughts, but that's because they're looking at it from their perspective and not mine. And I understand that. But at the same time, you know, it's kind of like, it reminds me of someone who drives 10 miles out of the way to get gas because they saw at that gas station they were only charging $2.20 a gallon, and by their house it's $2.50 a gallon. So they're going to drive 10 miles out of the way to save 10 cents a gallon, let's just say. To me, that doesn't make sense, but to a lot of people it does. Yeah, but if I fill up the tank, if I do that every week and I fill up the tank, let's just say it's 20 gallons at 10 cents, that's $2 I'm saving every time. Well, are you really? Because you're driving 10 miles out of the way, you're burning at least $2 probably worth of gas. You're also wearing out your tires driving farther. You're also putting yourself at risk by being in traffic that much longer. And it takes time to do all that. What's your time worth? I will pay someone $1 extra per gallon to come to my house and put the gas in my car, because my time is worth more than go driving around trying to save money on gas. So that's just me. I just look at it differently, but nothing wrong with all those ways of thinking. So anyway, a long-winded answer to your question, I don't like any of them. I personally wouldn't invest in any of them. But if you are going to, you might as well do it with the biggest companies. You got BlackRock, and these people do know how to make money, but just know that they're making their money on you, off of you.
Yeah, the only reason why I ask is it's in our family trust, which I don't have control over. And I finally got him at least talked into getting some exposure to crypto. And he said, the only way I'll do it is through an ETF. And I said, well, I guess that's something better than nothing.
Yeah, well, it's definitely better than not having anything. Yes, I agree. But if you have to choose one, I'm not so sure. I would have to do research on them. I don't really know which ones. You would know just as much or more than I do, because I haven't been looking into ETFs. What's her name? Kathy Woods. I mean, she's trustworthy, but she's not always the brightest when it comes to what's going to happen in the future. She makes some wild claims. I forget the name of her company. ARK, I think it's called.
ARK, is it Arkham?
ARK, yeah, something like that. ARK or Arkham, can't remember. ARK, ARC.
ARK,
yeah, like Noah's Ark. Hayes says, I have mass majority of XRP in crypto.com on chain, but I have 4,100 XRP stranded in Webull Pay that doesn't allow you to send to other exchanges. So I guess just wait for this initial jump coming up, then sell. So does Webull allow you to convert it to anything else and then transfer that, or just won't let you transfer anything offline? I don't use Webull, so I don't know how it works. You can't send and receive there. You can only buy and sell. I mean, you could sell it and then buy XRP on a different exchange that does allow you to transfer it. You can just buy it right back at the same price that you sold it for, minus the fees. There might be some transaction fees. Yeah, I don't like that either. Chad says that's a bit concerning. I don't like it. I'm not familiar with Webull. I've heard of it, but I don't really understand what their thing is.
It's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, hey, as I know what you and I were talking a little bit, I would definitely be a little agnostic as to why they wouldn't let you do an external withdrawal of your crypto that you own off of their platform, right? Not going to make accusations, but it's just a very odd policy that I would I personally would not be okay with. So if I was in your shoes, I would probably try to sell it, and then obviously you'd have to do an ACH back into your account and then go rebuy somewhere else. That's just me, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't custodian my assets with anybody who said, "Oh, you can keep them here, but you can't send them anywhere." That's a big fuck you if you ask me. Excuse my language, but
Yeah, Marlon answered it. Really, the reason why is because Webull generally cannot be moved to external wallets because users do not own the underlying tokens, but rather trade them via a custodial broker-dealer model. So basically, Webull is the middleman, and the crypto is held on a broker-dealer model. So you really don't own it. And same kind of with Coinbase, but Coinbase lets you transfer it. Coinbase is in control of your assets, but you can send and receive on Coinbase, but they own the what is it? The servers that it's on. See, a lot, even when you transfer crypto to a cold storage wallet, you think it's on your device. It's not. It's in the blockchain. It's on the server somewhere, but you are the only one that has access to it through your 24-word seed phrase. On Coinbase, they have access to it because they're the ones with the seed phrase. You just have your login access, but they can block that anytime they want if you piss them off or do anything that they don't like. That's why I don't like ETFs and bank. That's why you generally want to be in control of your money, in my opinion, unless you trust. And by the way, guys, I have Coinbase. I've had Coinbase since they've been in existence, and I personally have never had a problem with them. But I see a lot of people that do have problems with them. But I still don't leave a lot on there. I use it to transfer in and out, buy if I want to, but I usually transfer it out of there relatively soon. Try not to leave it on there too long.
I would try to see how long the transaction process would take, right? How many days are they going to hold your funds from the time of sell into your bank account, right? I mean, obviously, the longer that process gets dragged out, the greater the delta is in your basis of your current holdings versus your new basis into reallocation. Now, obviously, if the price goes down, that benefits you, but if the price goes up, that hurts you. Right. So I would try to just get on with support and think, okay, how long is this process going to take me? And then I would probably try and time that out. But, not to keep kicking a dead horse, I wouldn't keep my crypto anywhere near some type of, weird custodianship agreement like that.
Yeah.
It's not in your best interest by any stretch. I don't see any real I don't see any pro of custodian your assets on somewhere that operates that way.
Yeah. And Robinhood is similar. Robinhood is
Robinhood
messaging,
sucks.
texting people, asking them why they're transferring, why they're sending crypto out. They're literally asking their clients with texts and emails as to why you're transferring out. That's like none of your business, but it is their business because they don't want you to send your money out of there.
Robinhood is a shithole too, guys. If you haven't watched the documentary on Netflix during the GameStop GME debacle, Robinhood was pulling some very, very sketchy, borderline fraudulent activities.
They paused trading.
They paused trading, yeah, and I mean,
in one
absolutely
direction.
screwed people over. So I mean, that old saying, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, walks like a duck, smells like a duck, it's probably a duck. I mean, there's red flags on a lot of these platforms. FTX was a great example of it. They have the big name, they're sponsoring these events, they got these celebrity endorsements, and it creates a false sense of security for folks. And I mean, I think Robinhood is very much in that place where a lot of people just forgot what they did, right? And what's stopping them from engaging in that type of activity again, right? So there's a lot of these that are mainstream that I wouldn't even put my worst enemy on them. And, I mean, I think Coinbase is a good platform, right? But you know, it always comes down to the delta of what percentage of your assets are you holding and where, and what is your intent with them, right? If you want to, if you have a true level, a degree of building decentralized wealth for yourself, you need to be in control of that. It makes no sense to hold that on a custodianship for 4-5% APY staking it, right? The risk to reward isn't there. Right now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to keep all of your crypto cold all the time, but just make those decisions with a plan and intent, right?
Yep. That's what I've been telling you guys. It's like, well, you can't trade from a cold storage wallet. So you would have to move some of your crypto into a trading account, not all of it, just enough to trade, learn, and grow it there. And when you have a certain amount accumulated, I mean, we are trusting Phemex to a degree, obviously, right? But never had an issue with them. But to a degree, we have to trust somebody in order to handle our funds, right? Trust our banks. We trust the financial institutions, our credit card companies. We're trusting these other financial institutions with our livelihood, our money, to get shit done that we need to get done. And so you do have some level of trust that you have to give some of these, but you don't need to take extra risk, like Chad was saying, with these companies that are already proven themselves to not be on your side. There are people that say that they got scammed or lost money on Coinbase, but then when you really do the research and comes down to it, it's like, if you send crypto from your Coinbase wallet to a known fraudulent wallet, they will block you. They will connect you to that fraudulent wallet. Now you might say, well, why would I do that? Well, you sometimes do it by accident. You don't even know it. You're sending crypto to somebody, or you're buying something with crypto, and the person you're sending it to is already flagged. They're already on the blacklist of doing, shady stuff. And as soon as you get associated with them, they can block your account. And then you got to prove to them that you didn't know this person and that you were just trying to buy something or you were getting scammed. And then, so that's, they do that for their own protection. They do that. Coinbase is not stupid. They've been sued before because somebody lost $10 or $1 million worth of Bitcoin, and they blamed Coinbase. They tried to sue Coinbase. They said Coinbase let their account get hacked. Coinbase went to court with them and proved that their account got hacked on their own computer. Coinbase had nothing to do with it. Somebody broke into their home computer and got all their passwords and logged in from their IP address. And so you got to protect yourself too, guys. You got to take responsibility you got to take responsibility for your own actions and all that stuff too. But at the same time, we need some of these companies in order to transact and to play the game. We're kind of playing in their sandbox, so to speak. But at the same time, I always say that Coinbase is like a public bathroom. You get in there and do your business and get out. You don't really want to store all your wealth there. And but yeah. Someone asked, as far as Optio on Coinstar or Coinstore, I don't know. That's the first time I've heard that problem, but it's supposed to be available to buy on Kyvo wallet soon. But I just messaged the representative there to see when they're expecting that to happen. It was supposed to be by the end of last week, but I don't see it yet. But I think it was available on MEXC as well, and it's supposed to be coming available on Coinbase also very soon. We'll see. I've heard that before with other cryptos. Optio. Yeah, it's not available yet. All right, guys, it's 1:40. We have what is it? Basics call with Bill. I'm used to saying onboarding all the time, but it's basics now, right, Bill?
Yeah, I haven't posted it yet. I'll post it right now.
All right, cool. Coming up in about 20 minutes. You guys got any other questions about anything? Chad, you got anything you want to share with anybody?
No, sir. I think most of us, Niko's in longs on XRP. I'm in gave longs on Bitcoin and BCH. Looks like Ryan gave some longs last night, and we got quite a few great trades that are in profits, and things are moving and progressing in the right direction with all those setups. So hopefully you folks took some action on those trades. That's what we do.
Yeah,
wait for the good setups.
And this is Bitcoin again on the 15-minute. As you see, we are making some higher highs, and we're coming into this little wedge, this little apex here. But this is just on a very low time frame here, guys. But basically, it's this one right here where you can clearly see we had some lower highs in this little wedge. We dropped to a much lower low, but downward trending channels, kind of, so to speak, but we're coming back up and we're breaking above this support right now. It was major support, and then we dropped through it. We hit resistance. We popped above it. We came back below it, and now we're breaking through it right now, back to the upside. Hopefully it's not just going to be resistance and then come back down, but that's kind of where we're at. That's Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is still, like I said, the tide that's rising all ships, and XRP had its pump correlating very similarly. It's the difference with XRP is there's a very clear downward trending giant, falling wedge that we were in, right here. Let me just go to a higher time frame and show you again one more time. There's a very clear falling wedge inside of the overall downward trending channel right here. And we did break to the upside for the first time since, let me just make this bigger. It's for the first time since the beginning of January up here when we were at 242. We just broke out to the upside. That's a good sign. And before we broke out to the upside, we bounced on $1.80, which was pretty much the bottom. It's pretty much the bottom. This is the channel we're in. This is the bottom. We hit it. I mean, it's been the bottom. Now, there's been a couple times where we wicked below. Like here, we wicked a little bit below. And then, here, obviously, when we had that big drop back on October 10th, we dipped below. But since then, this has been the floor, and we're breaking out of a nice little falling wedge in between. So I'm expecting us to get to the top of this channel, maybe 215. And if we can break that, then we will be, and this would be the handle or the pole of the giant flag of the falling wedge. If we could break out, that would bring us somewhere up in this, 250 range if we can get out of this channel. But in the short term, if we take the depth of the actual top of this and we put it there, it's going to bring us right to the top of the overall downward channel, which would be probably right around here at $2.15. That would be nice if that happens. And that's kind of where we're at right now. If I see any changes between now and I'm going to keep an eye on it, guys, I'll let you know in the chat. I'm going to move my stop loss. Let me just go down and look. Do I have a stop loss on this one right now? I have it at $1.81. Let me zoom in. No, is that a stop loss? Let me see, $1.81. It says I have a stop loss of $1.81, but it's not showing on the chart. Let me just type it in. $1.81. Oh, I'm sorry. It is here. I thought that was my liquidation. Let me just move that up. I'm going to move my stop loss up right now to a little bit under my entry because obviously it's in profit. I could move my stop loss into profit right now, but and I probably should move it up to here because if it does break below this and start to come back down, then I would lose any profit that I have right now. Yeah, just for the hell of it, I'm just going to move it into break even at this point because I am already 25% into profit. So there's no reason for you to not at least put it into break even. So I'm going to do that because we are holding on an upward trending support line right now, and hopefully we'll continue up. But if it doesn't, then this might fizzle out and maybe come back down to retest this area. And that's not even a bad thing. If it retests this area and bounce, I'll probably just re-enter. But in case it falls through that when I'm not paying attention, I'd rather not go negative on XRP. I'm trading on an XRP margin. I don't want to lose any of it. I'm trying to conserve as much as possible and just keep adding to my XRP holdings. And so I'd rather close a trade in profit than stay in it and let it go negative. All right, guys, get on the basics call with Bill, though, coming up here at 2. You got about 15 minutes. And that's always a great learning experience, especially if you're new or relatively new. And we will see you on the next call on Wednesday. If you have any questions between now and then, guys, ask it in the main chat or in the help desk if you need help with anything technical. Bill is handling, helping a lot of people. So, be patient, even though it doesn't take long at all. It's kind of amazing how quickly he gets back with people, but do be patient there because no one's being ignored, guys. But if you have a question for me or Chad, ask it in the main chat. Just tag us at Niko or at Chad, or you can DM us also if you have a question. But just for future reference, guys, now is the time. These live calls is when you should get your questions answered. That's why we're here for 2 hours, live, for you to come off mute, ask it in the chat, whatever. Don't wait till I end this call and then send me a DM and expect me to respond right away. Unfortunately, sometimes I have to get on some other calls. So just do it this way. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I was looking for a little peep on ZEC, if you got a minute.
Yeah. I mean, we looked at that on Friday and it seemed to be doing good. All right. Let me see. It's looking very similar. It's correlating very similar to actually even XRP right now. But everything kind of had the same drop down and pump up. It's in an upward trending support, just like XRP, just like I was just showing you. It's doing the same thing. We have some, I would say, nice support and resistance somewhere up in this level. And it's coming back up to that level. So I would say, I mean, to me, that is somewhat of an apex. I mean, you got a floor that's getting higher and you got a ceiling that's horizontal. And let me just look at this way because we could also be trending down depending on this. If you zoom out, this is why we zoom out, guys, because when you zoom out, you see things you didn't normally see when you weren't zoomed out. But we do have downward trending resistance here as well. And we're coming right up to it right now. So you see that? And this actually does kind of resemble a nice falling wedge as well, depending on how you look at this. But let me go to the higher time frame and show you what that looks like when you really dial it in. We have a falling wedge right here. We do have lower highs. We have lower lows. We bounced on the lower low and we're pumping back up. And we have, if I really zoom in, you can see it's coming right back up to this downward trending resistance. If it breaks through that and gets above what was the floor here, which has been the ceiling here, if it gets above that, then that's a nice potential long position here, getting above this. If it hits this ceiling right here and it can't hold there, then it might be coming back to the floor.
Kind of wait it out a little bit. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day. If there's no other questions, I'm going to wrap it up. Get on Bill's call if you have any questions. Bill can answer any question. He's got more answers than I do. So always take advantage of that. And have a great rest of your afternoon, guys. We got a lot of crazy things happening, like the 27th, which is tomorrow, is the beginning of supposedly this week. There should be some clarity on the Clarity Act. I don't know if they're going to kick that into February, but from what I understand, there might be some news coming out tomorrow, which could cause a major pump to the upside. So keep that in mind. And we will be on the lookout for ourselves, and we'll let you know what we know when I know it. All right. Have a great rest of your day. Get on the basis call coming up here shortly. Bill's posted the link in this chat.